Good morning, everyone. Welcome to August Pro Power Hour. My name is Grant Chapman. I work in the advisor marketing team here at Intuit's QuickBooks, and I'm your host for today's session. It's great to have you join us today. And before we begin, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which you meet today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, where I am in Sydney, and to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. In today's Pro Power Hour, we're going to look at some tools, some tips, and some tricks in QuickBooks Online Accountant and QuickBooks Tax, powered by LodgeiT. That can really save you some time and effort as we deal with the end of the busy lodgements period, and importantly, that can help you to build a plan for a more efficient year ahead. We're also going to take a look at QuickBooks Payroll and how it can drive some additional efficiencies for you and for your clients. First, though, a little bit about us. So I'm sure everyone on the call today is aware of Intuit's flagship product, QuickBooks Online, given that it's used by more than 300,000 accountants and bookkeepers and more than 5.1 million small businesses all around the world. I hope most of you are aware of the functionality in QuickBooks Online Accountant that helps smaller accounting firms and smaller bookkeeping firms to manage their clients, to keep on top of their workflow, and to help with tracking your time and billing. On the compliance front, we have QuickBooks Tax, powered by LodgeiT, which is an online tool to manage all of your tax and BAS preparation and lodgement needs. We've had hundreds of accounting and bookkeeping firms start using QuickBooks Tax over the last financial year. So if you haven't had a look, I'll tell you how you can get free access to it as part of the QuickBooks Pro Advisor program at the end of the session. It's really important as we exit the busy lodgements period. All right, before we do get started, just some very quick housekeeping. Today's event is being recorded, so we'll have a copy of that recording out to everyone who registers by email. So just watch out for a copy of that recording in your inbox. It'll let you review any of the content that we've shared today or share it with your other team members. If you're having any technical difficulties with not being able to see or hear the presentation, we suggest you restart your device, refresh your browser, or try a different device. You can also navigate to the troubleshooting guide that's located at the bottom of the page, where there's a link to an alternate video browser. Again, you are going to receive a copy of the recording, so while it's not as good as the live thing, at least you won't miss a thing. When it gets to demo time, to see the screen better, we recommend you maximize the screen by clicking on the expand icon. But please note it may take a couple of moments for the screen to render up, so if it appears a little bit blurry at first, just give it a few moments to clear up. And of course, we will have a Q&A at the end of the session, so feel free to add your questions now using the Slido box that's in the bottom of your screen there, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the session. Now that the housekeeping's out of the way, let's move on to today's session. So today you're going to hear from Emma Fabbro, FCPA, a member of the QuickBooks Trainer Writer Network. Emma is a certified practicing accountant working as a sole practitioner in her firm, Fusion Accountants. Emma loves working closely with her small business clients, really providing those bookkeeping and accounting services and helping her clients to really have an understanding of the numbers behind their businesses. You'll hear from me, Grant Chapman, on workflow and data collection. As mentioned, I work in the advisor team here at QuickBooks. I've been here for about 18 months, prior to which I was at the Tax Institute, where I spent 8 years working closely with their professional development and education teams, and at Thomson Reuters prior to that in their publishing division. Later on, you're going to hear from David Burnett from our team on the efficiencies that you can drive through QuickBooks Payroll. David also works in the advisor team here at Intuit, and he has more than 15 years experience in customer marketing across a variety of industries, including financial services, telecom, and insurance. David's going to talk about the efficiencies that you and your clients can and really should be accessing in your payroll solution. We also have Chris Greamer from our team here. Chris is a senior assisted experience expert in our customer success team, and he's going to join us during that Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Okay, for now, I'm going to hand over to Emma. Thank you.
Thanks, Grant. It's great to be here today. I am going to just talk to you briefly about what I'm going to cover in the next 30 or so minutes with you all. So today, what I'm going to talk about is, first of all, how are we this financial year and where are we at? I'm going to talk about QBOA work tools and specifically the Accountant's Toolbox. You don't know how much I love when I started using QuickBooks to find the Accountant's Toolbox. I love having a toolbox. We're going to talk about Books Review. We're going to talk about Prep for Taxes and LodgeiT. We will look at scheduling reports the QBOA task automation, setting up recurring transactions, and billing automation. So we've got a lot of information that we're going to cover. And one thing you'll hear me say at least a couple of times is that I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So it's about using what we have. And when we've got clients who are on QuickBooks, when we're using QBOA, what we want to do is use it to the very, very best of its potential. The other thing you're going to hear me say is to practice. So if you're not using any of these tools or anything that you see me talk about or cover today, and it will be sort of a brief covering, go and practice them. Set up a demo file, use the demo file we have access to, but give it a go and see if it could help you to work smarter and not harder. Okay, so moving on, what I said that we're going to start talking about is how we're doing this financial year. And so I've posed some questions here. Obviously, we're not interactive, but I'm sort of saying, how are you all doing and how are your workloads? And I'm asking these questions so that you can take stock and just have a think about that. I think we get so busy and we're on the treadmill or the hamster wheel, and it's really important just to take that pause and to actually ask ourselves how we're doing, how are our pressures. What I'm finding this financial year is that it is very much business as usual. We've had some challenging years. We've had challenging years economy-wise. We've had challenging years with the pandemic. And so it does feel quite calm to me, and that's my experience. I've commented there, hopefully not the calm before the storm. I am finding, though, that there's still a lot of clients who are wanting their financials done very, very quickly. Generally for refinancing purposes, the changes in interest rates obviously affects our clients, business and personal, but there doesn't seem to be quite as much pressure as what we have had. So that's a good thing. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is, sorry, I'm not able to move my slide just now. Just give me a minute. See if we can move on to the next slide. So what I wanted to talk to you about is how many of you advisors out there have done mental health first aid training? So I've just talked about the pressures that we've been under. I would highly recommend if you haven't done that training, and I would actually estimate that a lot of you have done it. If you haven't, talk to your professional bodies. A lot of our professional bodies are offering this training free of charge. They've recognised the pivotal role that we're playing and the significance we have in our clients' lives. And a lot of our professional bodies have actually provided this training and are still continuing to provide this training free of charge. So have a look at that if you haven't already done so. And the final comment that I've got here is that just be mindful of putting your own oxygen mask on first. So we did talk about that a lot at the start of the pandemic, but I think we should talk about it all the time. I think we should always have our own oxygen mask on. I think that if we do this, we're better placed to serve our clients better. And I'm talking about practical things as well. So I'm talking about when you log on to your files in the morning, review your own file first, reconcile your own accounts, do your own BAS, get your own lodgements in, and do that, because then you're better placed to serve your clients and to offer them a better quality service. Okay, so the other thing I will just comment on is that with all of this and what I've just talked about, I've actually started in my calendar. Actually, I talked about a pause earlier. I've started putting pauses into my calendar. So I'll block out a 2-hour period and I'll call it pause. And that is my pause and my time just to take stock of where I'm at in terms of my business and in terms of my practice, etc. So keep that in mind as well, but schedule that in if you need to. If you're not making that time, then actually put it in your calendar and make it happen. Okay, so now we're going to get into the real hands-on stuff. Like I said, it's going to be I'm going to cover a lot of information. I'm not doing a live demo. So again, like I've said, go and practice these tools. But the first thing I want to talk to you about is the Accountant's Toolbox. And I've commented there that it must be one of the greatest parts of our QuickBooks Online Accountant. Now, make sure you're accessing your QuickBooks Online Accountant through your accountant login. I recently spoke with an advisor who was accessing is a new QuickBooks advisor and has 3 clients and had 3 different email addresses they were using to log on. So they were not seeing the QBOA information and portal. So make sure you're using the correct login. From the Accountant's Toolbox, and I'll show you a couple of slides in a minute and we'll have a look at where it is, but we can go straight to our chart of accounts. We can create client notes and requests. We can prepare journal entries. We can reconcile. We can access our reports and we can access prep for taxes. We can close the books. We can write off invoices and we can view voided and deleted transactions. So a couple of my favorite areas of the Accountant Toolbox are Reclassified Transactions. I'm sure if you've been using QuickBooks for even a short period of time, you would know how valuable Reclassified Transactions is. Within a matter of seconds, almost minutes, we can reclassify many transactions. And I'm talking about things like where you look at the client's file, and I know this will make me sound like a grumpy accountant, but you look in the accountant's expense and they've put all their subscriptions to Intuit, and we want to move that out and put that into subscriptions because clearly I want the accountant expense line to balance with what I know I've invoiced the client for the financial year. So we're talking about things like that. We're talking about GST coding, where you've got clients who have incorrectly GST coded multiple transactions, where we've got clients who put loan payments into expenses. There's so many uses of Reclassify, and it is really quick and easy. It is something that we have access to, but our clients don't. So again, it helps us to work smarter, not harder. But our clients appreciate it because they know what it would take them. They know the hours it would take them if they had to reclassify manually themselves. Report options is another really useful part of our Accountant's Toolbox. So when you come into your reports and you click on a profit and loss, it will default according to the setting in report options. So for a lot of files, I find this is last month is the default. If you click on your Accountant's Toolbox and report options, though, you can change that default to whatever you want to see, whatever will suit the client best. You can also, at this setting, toggle between cash or accrual accounting. So a lot of our clients, most of our clients are accrual accounting, but you may have a client who is cash-based, and we can change that default there. So like I said, we're looking at the top left-hand corner of our screen. We've got our drop down for our Accountant's Toolbox. And what you'll see here that I'm showing you is that report option setting. So you'll see in that we can make that choice there to change that. We've got the basis there. We've got cash. We could change that to accrual accounting. The next screen I'm showing you here is an example of reclassified transactions. And what I want to talk about, like I said, I'm not doing a live demo, but what I do want to point out is that within reclassified transactions, I gave you some examples of moving an account or GST, but also remember that we can actually dive even deeper. So we can actually break down our search into classes, into locations, into customer or supplier names. So we can really drill into the data. If we've got a particular customer and accounts have been put somewhere, it may be something to do with your TPAR reporting. And for a particular supplier, we want to move transactions from one spot to another. So again, practice, go in and have a look and just look at how useful that could be for you, for your practice, and for what you're offering for your clients. Okay, so voided and deleted transactions, and this is why it's so critical. No matter how small your client is in their business, make sure they have separate user logins. And this is a really good example of why. So I've got some sort of mum, dad businesses, and they share an email for QuickBooks, and I'm always saying to them, you need to have specific email accounts for every user. You can do that. QuickBooks allows you to do that. You can see here that we've got a screen. We've come into our voided and deleted transactions, and we've got an audit log, and we can see that a couple of days ago, I've deleted an expense for Officeworks. I've also deleted another payment for $128.99. So first of all, we can look at whether this is correct. Should this have been deleted? If we've got somebody who thinks no, Officeworks isn't stationary, or that wasn't in the bank, we can actually then go and work out whether it should have been deleted. We can then educate that user if they've done something incorrectly. We can then look at a history of exactly what happened, how the transaction got brought in, why it got brought in, how it got reconciled. But really, really critical for those cases where something isn't reconciling and you know that something's been removed from the file. My best practice is to say to clients, do not ever click the delete button. Even though they do have access to it, don't ever click delete, because, but at least we know through our accountant's toolbox, if they do click delete, we can hop on and have a look at what's happened. Okay, so we'll keep moving on. And what we're going to talk about next, my slide toggle isn't working, just bear with me. Okay, so we're going to talk about books review. Now, I know that there are a lot more advisors out there using books review. Books review is fantastic. I've said here it's a one-stop shop, so we can allocate, we can access unallocated bank transactions. We can access transactions that have been allocated to uncategorized transactions. And let's face it, uncategorized transactions is just a different way of saying suspense account. So it doesn't mean anything for it to be there, and we need to put it somewhere. Transactions without payees and more. We can also check our account reconciliations, our accounts payable and receivable. So we can really do it all in books review. And I would encourage you all to have a look at it, to look at using it in your practice, because it will make you more efficient. We can reclassify transactions. I've just talked about how important that is. And we can also reclassify transactions through our books review function. So I'm going to show you a couple of my favourite parts of books review and talk about why it's sort of so useful and how I'm using it in my practice. So first of all, accessing books review. So you should see it on the top left-hand menu. It's generally the second item down. So we've got books review, and we can then locate and identify the period that we're looking at. And what you'll see is that there's 4 tabs there. So we've got transactional review, we've got account reconciliation, final review, and wrap up. So one of the things that I have started using in my practice is to use books review to actually create client queries. So before I started using books review, what I would do is look at the bank transactions, and obviously generally we end up with things each quarter that we're not able to allocate. And so I would do an uncoded transactions report, pull out the correct period of time, and I would email that to the client and ask them to provide details on what these transactions were. So not particularly efficient in terms of time, because I've already looked at the transactions and then I've got to move out and grab the report, etc. Not particularly safe to be using email to directly liaise and send report information to our clients. So within books review, what we can do here is identify transactions. You can see here we've got some expenses that are all a little bit over the place. Something's uncategorized, company payment, insurance, office expenses, and waste removal. Don't have any supplier details. So we can identify these transactions, and the first option here is to ask the client. So we can actually, and I'll show you in the next slide, once we click on ask the client, what we would do is we actually create a query, and might be a little bit small on your screens, but again, like I've been talking about, have a look at this and have a look at how it looks. We can add a title, so we can title it however we want, and we can select the due date, so we can give our client a deadline to sort of put that sense of urgency. We've got a details button, so a details box, sorry. So in there, we're going to talk to our client about what it is we're looking for, that we're wanting information on what these transactions are, what the GST is, etc., etc. When we click share on the bottom right-hand side of this request, it will send this directly to our client. So the client will get a notification, and they will log into their QuickBooks file, and they will see our query here, and they'll be able to respond to our queries. As I've said, so much more efficient than an uncoded transactions report, and also more secure than using email in terms of how we're interacting with our client. Okay, one of the other things I love about Books Review is that we can add shortcuts. Again, talking about efficiency. So what you can see here is that we've got some items. We've got reconcile loan accounts, review reconciliation reports. And if you look in the middle of the screen, we've got a blue text, and that actually takes us directly to a link. So you can see down the bottom that there's a box which says link name. We can actually put in a URL details. You'll see the QuickBooks page link. We can actually put that in so that when we come into this each month or each quarter to do our books review, we can go directly to those reports that are most important and that we most want to review for our particular clients. Okay, so customise the accounts that we're reconciling. Now, for some of our clients, we want to look at certain accounts each quarter, but some of the accounts are not going to be relevant. So what you can see here is that we have an option to actually highlight, and in this case here, we're choosing 3 accounts because that's what's relevant in terms of our balance sheet accounts, other balance sheet accounts. So you can see on the right-hand side of my PowerPoint here, we've selected payroll clearing, we've selected super payment, and we're selecting the pay-as-you-go withholding accounts. And those are the accounts for this client that we want to reconcile. You'll also see that there's a lot of other liability accounts. So what we want to do is clear them out where they're not relevant to our client, because we want to just look at the accounts that we want to use. But you'll see there's an FBT liability account, there's pay-as-you-go installment liability, luxury car tax. So for clients where those accounts are relevant, we're going to select those. And then obviously we'll be able to access them through our books review. But the idea is to keep our books review really neat and just look at the information that's going to work best for our client. Okay, so I'll just move on to my next slide. So prep for tax and LodgeiT. So prep for taxes is where we can pull everything together and finalise our client files for end of financial year. And so it's a great resource. This has been given to us by QuickBooks. So if you're not using it, if you haven't looked at it, have a look at it, have a shallow dive, then have a deeper dive, and actually just see how useful it could be in your practice and for your particular clients. You'll see in this screenshot here that when we come into prep for taxes, it will generally talk about how many changes have been made since we've last accessed prep for taxes, and we can have a look at what changes have been made. So that's a really useful starting point. So like I said, prep for taxes, we can pull it all together. We can review our clients' accounts from a single dashboard, and that's what I like best about it. And I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots. We can set task lists at a practice level, and that can be used by all our team members to ensure tasks are done efficiently and effectively. And so what I mean by that, so this is our prep for taxes, and what you'll see, it's similar to books review in the sense that there's 4 sort of subheadings. So we've got year-end tasks, we've got a documents tab, we've got review and adjust, and then we've got grouping and statements. Now, what you'll see here in year-end tasks, and a lot of people ask, like, what is your year-end process? What is your year-end task list? What do we do at year-end? So this is where you can set and add tasks and items that are specific for you. When you look in prep for taxes, there is a default list, but what you'll see in this list is that I've added a couple of things. So I've put item number 1 is a staff meeting with a partner to discuss client specifics. So that's something that I've put in prep for taxes that's relevant to my practice. The second item I've also added phone call with client for a staff introduction. So you can add whatever it is that you need in your practice to share with staff members, to share with team members, etc. You can move anything in this list to different parts and you can put it wherever you want. You can see a little bit further down, we've got an interim partner meeting to review accounts. So we get to do that. You'll see on the right-hand side, things are marked as to do. Once things are done, we start to mark it off and we'll actually see what is done. So for the partner, and if you are in a practice where you've got team members, you will very easily be able to come into clients' files, come into Prep for Taxes and look at where your staff are at and what is done and what the status is. So really, really useful and really important. Like I said, remember that you can completely tailor and customize this list to suit yourself and your practice. Okay, so the next part of our Prep for Taxes is our documents screen. So on our document screen, and again, like we said, Prep for Taxes is really sort of where we're going to end up with at the end of financial year. We're going to have all our information together. Now, I'm just not able to move my screen. See if we can come on. Yep. So documents is where, and again, we're really big as accountants and bookkeepers. We want our work papers. So what you'll see here is that we've got a list of our accounts. So we've got current asset accounts that we can see here. You'll see under the business account. So we've got a business transaction account 9247. And you see on the right-hand side, there's an add option. So this is where we can actually click on add and we can upload the source document, which would be the 30 June bank statement. You'll see a little bit further down, we've got tax savings, inventory. So what we can do is add our source documents here. We can actually then export, because I know you're all thinking, can we export and keep a copy of that? So yes, we can. So we've got our work papers, everything in one spot. So the sort of things you'd be thinking of adding in terms of our accounts are bank statements, loan accounts, tax invoices for large asset purchases, finance documents. So we can put it all in the one spot. If we've had changes to equity, structure, equity, we might want to have those documents here. So we've got that tab. And again, anybody within our practice can access that if we need them to access that information. Okay, our review and our adjust tab. So what I like about this screen is that we get the option, and some of us are used to one way and some of us are used to another. But what we get the option to do is to actually look at our information as a balance sheet and profit and loss view, or we can actually look at a trial balance view. But what we see here is all our accounts, and I'm just trying to move my slide, but I've lost my connection. Here we go. So we're looking here at our review and adjust. What you'll see here is that we get a snapshot. We've got a comparative straight away. So straight away, we may have some red flags if there's areas we want to adjust, if there's issues that stand out. We've also got a column which shows us any adjusting entries we've made. We can make adjustments directly from here, from the Prep for Taxes if we need to. What you'll see here is that we're looking at, like I said, the balance sheet view. And if we were able to scroll further down, we'd be looking at the profit and loss accounts. But what we can do if we want to, you'll see in the top sort of right-hand side, there's a trial balance view toggle button. And in this screenshot, it's turned off. But what you'll see in my next slide is that we've actually turned it on. And so we changed to that trial balance view. So for a lot of us, that's how we work. And we are used to that sort of traditional trial balance view where we've got all our accounts in the one list. We don't need to split out our reports into profit and loss and balance sheet at this point. But like I said, one of the things I really like is the comparative, so that we straight away can look at where we were at last year in terms of where we're at this year. And remember that some of that can trigger some conversations with clients where we notice sort of big variances and adjustments and that type of thing. Okay, so our last slide, sorry, I've just come a little bit far. I'm having a bit of trouble with my slides, so that's just bear with me. The The last slide in our prep for taxes is where we actually finalise everything. Within our prep for taxes, we can push our information to LodgeiT. I know Grant said if you're not using LodgeiT, have a look at using that and have a talk to him about how you can potentially have access to it for free. I've been using LodgeiT for several months now, and well, it took me a little bit of a time to move over, but it is working incredibly well for my practice. So I'm very, very happy to have moved over. Okay, so I'm not going to try to go back to that slide. We're going to stick here with our scheduling reports. So I said that I'd say it a couple of times. So as I talked about earlier, I'm all about working smarter, not harder. So within QuickBooks, we can schedule reports. Now, some people don't know we can do this. So first of all, if you didn't know, we can do it. Now, first of all, what I would encourage you to do is, and I've said it as a tip, make sure your accounts are up to date. Okay, so what we don't want is to hop into report scheduling and schedule a report to go to our client once a week. But in the meanwhile, the client's relying on our practice to be allocating their bank transactions, and we haven't done that for 3 weeks. It means they're going to get the same report. So we need to be very proactive with our file. We need to make our accounts up to date so that the information in the report is informative and that it is reflective of the current situation. So second of all, and again, because we're not doing a live demo, I'm not going into the deep detail of it, but what I've done in this screenshot is I've customized a couple of reports. So I've customized profit and loss last week. So remember that when we do things as advisors, we're often looking at quarters, we're often looking at, it could be month, we might be looking at monthly wages or monthly BAS. But we often look at quarters, end of years, and sometimes we forget about the week to week. And that's okay, but obviously week to week is what our clients should be looking at with their businesses. I always want my clients to be successful, and I've heard other advisors say it. When my clients are successful, it means that I can charge for my services, and it means that it helps me to be successful. So I'm all about a win-win situation. So in this case here, I've customized a profit and loss for the last week, and I've customized a balance sheet for the last week, and also an age receivable report. And you'll notice it's an age receivable detail report. So again, probably as advisors, if you're looking or helping your clients, I often show the clients a summary, accounts or aging receivable summary report. But the detailed report shows every invoice, and it's really important that our clients are able to track, if they're not on recurring or regular payments, that they can track invoices and that they can approach their clients and get paid. So what I've done with these 3 reports is I've then grouped them into a weekly reporting summary. Now, if you haven't done the QBO, the QuickBooks Advanced training, do that next time you see a webinar, because you'll sort of deep dive more into reports and into coming up with these bundles. So I've effectively created a bundle here with these 3 reports called Weekly Reporting. And what you'll see on the right-hand side is the email, and I've just moved on to the screenshot here. So custom report, so our report name is Weekly Reporting. We've turned on our email schedule. In this case here, we're repeating this report schedule every week on a Tuesday. So Monday, we want to make sure we've got a client's accounts up to date. So Tuesday morning, they're going to get this email, and we've customized our little comment there. Again, it's coming within the software so that it's very secure in terms of how we're sending it to our clients. Okay, you'll also note there is a button down the bottom to attach the report as an Excel file. So where you've got a client, I've got a different range of clients. Some are really switched on and they're really into their numbers and wanting to do a little bit of analysis and that type of thing. So send them the reports in Excel so that they can really deep dive and play around and have a look at those reports in an Excel format. Okay, QBO task automation. So definitely getting the theme on working smarter, not harder, and using things and being efficient. So recurring transactions, wherever we can, we should automate. So we should automate regular tasks such as monthly client billing and monthly recurring expenses. We should also share this feature with our clients so that they can work more efficiently. And just what I said before about a win-win, you know, I want my clients to be successful. So encourage your clients, empower your clients, show this tool to your clients where you know that it can be used by them. So the sort of things we're talking about is if you've got your clients on monthly billing, then they should be getting, the email should be getting sent out to them every single month without you having to do anything. And the same thing with our clients and with their clients. Monthly recurring expenses. So if we've got insurances or subscriptions and we've got monthly recurring expenses, we can set those up and we can automate those. So I'm going to show you a screenshot and just have a look at some of the options. There are many different things that we can automate. So again, like I said, have a look at this part of the software and have a look at how it can work for you. So to get into our recurring transactions, we're in our cogwheel on the top right-hand side of our screen. The second column lists. The third option down is recurring transactions. So go in and have a look. What you'll see is, I've got a list here for a file, one of my demo files. And what you'll see here is that there's several different types of recurring transactions. There's different intervals. We've got a couple of recurring transactions that are every week. Most of them there every month. We've got the previous date, the next date that's going to be sent out and the amount. So in terms of planning, we can straight away sort of start to look at, you know, what's coming in or what should be coming in, what bills we've got that are every month. What you see here when I said that there's many transactions you can do. So when you do add a new recurring bill or a new recurring transaction, I should say, the top option there is bill, but you can see that we've got checks, we've got credit card credits, we've got adjustment notes, estimates, expenses, invoices, and even journals. So there's a lot of recurring transactions that we can create. And like I said, if we can automate it, we should. So think about things that you do often, whether it is weekly, fortnightly, monthly, and whether they can be automated. Okay, so rolling on still from the theme of automation. So billing automation. So I've said here, our practices won't survive unless we're being paid. And I love what I do, and I'm sure that most of you love what you do, but realistically, we can't do it unless we're getting paid. So we've got to be real about it. We've got to also make it as simple, seamless, and easy for our clients as possible. So QuickBooks enables us to connect directly with PayPal, and that will enable us to receive payments directly from the invoice. So I've made a note here that I've literally received payments within seconds of clicking send on an invoice to a client because I have this payment gateway. So if you don't have PayPal connected in your practice, think about whether it could be useful. Now, I've just talked previously about billing automation, and some of you may have clients who are on regular recurring billing, which is fantastic, and might be on direct debit. I've got those. I also have, particularly probably this time of year, individual tax return clients, and so ad hoc type tasks. So if you do offer those ad hoc type tasks, it could be once off training, once off sessions to review your client's accounts, etc. Think about whether this would be useful. And like I said, it has made me laugh sometimes where I have to click send on an invoice. And actually, to be honest, before the clients even sign, for example, their tax return, they've actually paid me, which is great. So the other thing with this billing automation and with the PayPal connection, to remember that what I'm talking about here about being available to us as advisors is also available to our clients. So we've also got to think about whether our clients could use this, even if we're not, because again, we want our clients to be successful. We want them to get paid by their customers or their clients. Okay, so billing automation, just to show you, this is how it looks from when we go to send the invoice. What I wanted to see is this review and pay button is the button that's enacted when we've got that PayPal connection. And from a customer point of view, what they get is this beautiful invoice, and they just get the option to pay. Once they've set these details up, these details were automated, but they click pay and it makes it really, really easy. And let's face it, we're not going to pay invoices if it's difficult and hard for us to do. So we've got to make it easy for our clients. Okay, so just to summarise, because I'm sure I've taken up quite a bit of time this morning, but we've looked at the 2022 financial year and just how we are and where we're at. We've looked at our accountant's toolbox. We talked about books review, prep for taxes and LodgeiT. We've talked about scheduling reports, QBOA task automation, setting up our recurring transactions and billing automation. So like you heard me say earlier, practice and have a look at these tools that we have within our QBOA suite. Thanks, guys. I will hand back to Grant now and I'll talk to you in the Q&A.
Amazing. Thanks so much for that, Emma. We really covered so much ground there. And I just wanted to remind everyone that while there was tons to unpack, you will get a copy of this webinar as a recording. So don't worry if you missed anything, you'll be able to come back to it a little bit later and unpack all of the detail that Emma covered there. If you did have a question for Emma, though, jump into the chat panel now and submit it, and we'll come to it at the end of today's session. So I'm going to cover a couple of things really quickly, including the benefits of a workflow audit, and upgrading your data collection technology. Then I'm going to hand over to Dave Burnett from our team, who's going to look at driving efficiencies with payroll before we get into that Q&A. Now, hopefully you're starting to see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and we know that at the end of each financial year, everyone generally starts to look back at what they've done, and they swear that next year you're going to do things differently. But with a constantly busy workload, it's more usual that you just get back on the same treadmill. And as a result, it can be really difficult to find the time to imagine what an efficient year end looks like, let alone devising a plan that can help you actually achieve one. But look, now is really the ideal time to think about the issues that you encountered and how they can be overcome for next year. So things like what caused you the most headaches? What were the bottlenecks that you encountered? What were those really time-intensive manual processes? And what were the workarounds that you had to put in place? And it's best to start documenting these issues now while they're still fresh in your mind. And whatever you do, don't put off fixing them, or you're just going to be facing the same challenges again next year, along with some new ones. So some of the activities you can focus on now really include making your compliance workflow more efficient by collaborating with your team, with your clients, for accountants, with the bookkeepers that you work with. And what you're really trying to do here is work towards reducing the number of manual processes in your business and replacing them with technology. And Emma spoke a lot about this piece. And that's what brings capacity into your workflows. Growth starts with running an efficient accounting business. Increasing your capacity, working smarter, not harder, reducing those manual processes, reducing those workarounds, and decreasing the duplications of work. That's how you create efficiency in your practice. Now, conducting a workflow audit is a really simple way of process mapping all of the tasks in your workflow. It's all about looking at what's required to get the work done. What are your outputs? So things like month-end accounts, BAS lodgements, monthly payroll, for example. And what are the inputs? So most likely the series of tasks that are required to get that work done. And what you're really trying to uncover here is if there's any duplication of tasks, or if there are any manual entries and processes that could be replaced and hopefully automated by technology. It can also uncover what tasks are chewing up most time in your practice, as well as the cost and or profitability of each project and each task. Ultimately, this is all about helping you to identify better ways of working with the right people, looking at the right tasks, and with technology doing as much of the heavy lifting as possible. Now, as you work through that workflow audit and as you identify the processes that you want to improve or automate or eliminate, it's also really important that you have a tool that can track each of those projects and their component tasks. Being able to see who's working on what, to track the status of each task, you can start to see where those bottlenecks are. And you can reassign work across your team, or you can push requests to clients to get information that you need from them. That's what's going to give you the power to keep things moving through your workflows. So when you are looking at improving how work flows through your firm, there are some really amazing tools to help you do just that in QuickBooks Online Accountant. First, you've got this dashboard right here, and this shows you all of the work that's going on right now, as well as what's coming down the pipeline to you in the coming weeks and months. You can filter by client work or teamwork. You can filter by project or by task, and you can see the status of every project and every task right there on the dashboard. You can use those filters to see who in your team is working on what, who's struggling, who's overloaded, so that you can step in and reassign work to someone else to give them a hand. All of it here in the dashboard with a couple of clicks. You can delegate tasks to get things off your plate and to make sure the right person is working on the right job. What's more, QuickBooks Online Accountant automatically suggests actions to be taken within your client's book. So tasks like payroll deadlines and reconciliations will automatically be shown to you as tasks to complete. And that functionality is managed by the From QuickBooks toggle, the little toggle switch that you'll see in the right of the screenshot there. And finally, when I spoke about how conducting that workflow audit can help you uncover the cost and profitability of each job, using projects in QuickBooks Work also lets you track the cost of each project, ultimately helping you to build a more profitable business. Now, it also features some really great client communication tools that Emma kind of touched on that really help you get what you need from your clients when you need it. You can share client documents and keep them organized in a password-protected environment, and your clients will receive notifications from you in their QuickBooks Online account and in their email inbox. All right. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with the saying garbage in, garbage out. If you don't apply a systematic approach to keeping your data clean, bad data is just going to happen. And it's going to mean data re-entry or going back to clients, and ultimately it's going to chew through hours in your week. AI, a lot of the AI tools in QuickBooks Online, it's doing a lot to decrease the amount of work that advisors have to do to process data and to clean it up. But the reality is, advisors still need to oversee the data to ensure bad data isn't making its way in. So think about the data that you're getting from your clients. Are you getting that information in a timely manner? And when you get it, how much cleanup is actually required? A lot of time and a lot of money is actually just lost, just waiting for and then manually processing data. The reality is that every bookkeeper and accountant is actually a data controller. You inherently know what data is required, but are you actually collecting it and processing that data as efficiently as you can be? There's a ton of apps and integrations out there that enable real-time flows of data and that can help you to assist your clients in building a better business too. And ultimately, the better, the cleaner, the more timely that data is, the less time you're going to spend chasing it and cleaning it. And the more valuable that data is going to be to you as the advisor. It's going to help you to produce better reporting, better analysis, and really empower you to provide better insights for your clients. So a couple of tips. First, get all your clients using the QuickBooks Online mobile app to capture and upload receipts. I'm always surprised when I speak to an advisor or to a small business owner that they're not using it, because it is a really, really great app. The receipt capture tool in there means receipts are going to be captured that day, not 6 weeks later and covered in tomato sauce or when the ink's rubbed off and they're illegible. Your clients can take a photo of that receipt or that bill or upload them, and bang, it's instantly there in QuickBooks Online. They can, of course, upload from their computer or Google Drive too, but there's a ton of other great features in the app as well. It's got a kilometre tracker, so they can track kilometres automatically with their phone's GPS. They can categorise business versus personal trips. They can add trips manually. And again, it's such a time saver for them. Everyone hates filling out a logbook. That's why no one does it, or at least not properly and consistently. The app automates all of that, so no more grubby, illegible logbooks landing on your desk, and it means your clients can claim every dollar that they're entitled to. Now, again, if you can use technology to obtain data from your client in a nice, easy way, it's going to streamline your data collection processes, resulting in efficiencies for everyone. So how are you getting that data from them? If there's any manual rekeying of data, that's an opportunity to improve efficiency. And I'm not going to go into a load of detail here, but ultimately, there's a ton of data collection tools out there. And the ones that you'll need to use depend on exactly what kind of data you're trying to collect and from who. But if you're working through that workflow audit and discovering there are manual processes that you want to eliminate, if you're finding that you're having to manually re-enter data, more than likely there's going to be an app that's integrated with QuickBooks Online that can help. So visit our app marketplace at apps.com, nice easy URL, apps.com, and you'll find a ton of them there, like Ignition and Dext and e-invoicing solutions, payment solutions, and things like Zapier, which integrate hundreds of other apps. So as I say, wherever your client's data lives, if you need that data, there's going to be an app that integrates with QuickBooks Online in a way that you can get that data that doesn't involve a manual process. Okay, now a lot of what I've covered today, we go into in more depth in this ebook. You can download it completely free at intuit.me/tax season. That's intuit.me/tax season. So it covers things like a workflow audit, data collection tools, and a technology audit. And it's got a bunch of other really great time-saving tips. That's it from me. I'm going to hand over to David Bennett from our team, who's going to look at driving efficiencies in your payroll solution. Thanks.
Thanks, Grant. Nice to meet everyone virtually. And just to reintroduce myself to everybody, my name is David Burnett. I'm in the advisor and the ecosystem team here at Intuit QuickBooks. And I'll take you through very quickly some efficiencies in QuickBooks Payroll powered by KeyPay. For those who don't know who KeyPay is the Australian market-leading payroll solution for small businesses under 50 employees. And their technology is embedded into QuickBooks Payroll. So a very powerful platform there for you. The efficiencies I'll take you through today split up into efficiencies in first-time use, how you can save time with every pay run, and then saving time when things don't go your way. So the first one is saving time with first-time use and how we've used defaults in the mapping of the chartered accounts. Now, we know first-time use is very important, and for a lot of small businesses, we want to make sure they're set up correctly. If they're not set up correctly, we know that'll mean more questions coming your way, which isn't a good thing. We want you guys to have seamless time, and all the time you need to do the real things on answering questions. So what we've got here is we know they don't necessarily know where to map journals and their chart of accounts. If you were to go from the homepage dash, when you click chart of accounts, you'll see a drop down for default accounts. So we've set these up, mapped across, and these should suit about 95% of small businesses. So this will start working from day one. A similar efficiency with regards to first time use is how we've set up assisting users by pre-populating the BAS. Again, we know that small businesses, payroll doesn't come naturally to them, and they may not necessarily know where to allocate some ledger items to their BAS. So you can see here, they may not know which expenses need to go to W1, the fact that wages payable should be going to W2. And as you can see here, we've defaulted these GST codes to these particular line items. This is pre-populated from day one, so everything should flow naturally from the beginning. So at the end of the year, you don't have to go back and make any corrections. The next one, when we start looking at saving time every pay run, let's have a quick look at something as simple as timesheets. So timesheets within the QuickBooks family, starting with the WorkZone app, so the app that the employees have with them when they're going to job sites or going into a shift. That is seamlessly connected, automatically when a timesheet is submitted, it's automatically populated, not just into QuickBooks Payroll, but then into QuickBooks Online, the general ledger. So really nice flow across those three systems. As Grant just said a moment ago, it's all about having technology working for you. So you no more sort of collecting spreadsheets of timesheets from employees and manually putting that data in and then having to upload it. Timesheet features with other accounting software, if you're using KeyPay for payroll, that's all needs to be done manually. So if you're using QuickBooks Payroll and QuickBooks Online, you'll get really nice flow between these with your timesheets. The next one, which is probably one of the heroes of QuickBooks Payroll through the advanced platform, is pre-built modern award interpretation. So as you can see here on the screen, I'm adding an employee and I can choose to add an award to them. In QuickBooks Payroll, there's an extensive list of pre-built modern awards in there. So what that means is you don't have to go to another third-party website to find the award rate, check it's correct with Fair Work, and then manually put that data in. All these awards on screen and all the rest that we have are kept up to date, so you can be assured that the calculations you're making will be compliant with Fair Work. You don't have to look too hard out there to find press about high-profile businesses underpaying their staff, and for the most part, they're not intentional. It could be the common reasons we hear are things like incorrect overtime, not paying enough superannuation, or miscalculating the penalty rates. The great thing about these inbuilt awards is that they not only include the pay rate, but they include the conditions of employment as well. So leave, overtime, and shift work. So those difficult ones to get right that you don't want to be missing and end up on the front page of the Herald or whatever it is. So great features for your clients, and if you're managing payroll for your clients, and even if you're considering managing payroll for your clients and building up payrolls and revenue stream for your business, but you might be worried about liability when it comes to award rates, this should give you great peace of mind that that compliance is taken care of. The next one here is around just simply, look, if things don't go right and you've got to make some changes, how our system makes things easy. So you do have the ability in QuickBooks Payroll to edit or delete a pay run even after it's been sent to QuickBooks Online. So here you can see I can click on the unlock feature option. I'll be asked to give a reason as to why I've done that, chuck that in, and then I can have the ability on the right-hand side of the screen to delete it. Once it's deleted, that'll actually be carried across from payroll into the accounting system. So you won't have any duplicates, you won't have incorrect journals, and then you can fix it up from there and redo it. So this, if you're using, again, another accounting software and KeyPay, this would need to be manual intervention and it would be a lot of steps. But again, with QuickBooks Payroll and QuickBooks Online, those sort of changes can be very easy. And look, of course, a simple thing to remind everybody, look, if things don't go right, if you've got questions, reach out to us by phone. We have an Australian-based advisor support team with dedicated payroll people who are there to answer your questions. No need to submit an email, ticket, and wait forever. No need to chat to one of those bots. Get us on the phone. We can talk through the problem, and whether it's a problem of yours, problem of your clients, we can help you figure it out. Worth reminding everybody, if you didn't know, advisors, you get 50% off payroll plans for your clients, so great value you can add there. And don't forget, for your firm, QuickBooks Payroll is free as part of the Pro Advisor program. So as I mentioned, KeyPay, the market-leading payroll solution for small businesses, and that's what we have within the KeyPay, the QuickBooks Payroll software, and that's free for you guys to use. So please take advantage of it. It's a great system there. That's it from me. I'll pass it back to Grant.
Amazing, thanks, David. So today, Emma has given you an overview of a ton of features in QuickBooks Online Accountant, and tomorrow we're actually having a training session. So Denise Twigger from our Trainer Writer Network is doing a really deep dive into all of the functionality we talked about today in QuickBooks Online Accountant, giving you a real step-by-step guide and all her tips and tricks to save you some time. So it's on at 11:30 to 1:30 tomorrow. So you probably have seen an email about registering for it. There's another email that's gone out just yesterday about that. This session is actually running again on the 28th of September. So if tomorrow's date doesn't work for you, you can also register by that same link that's at the bottom of your screen there for either session, either tomorrow or the 28th of September. So you can register for either at intuit.me/QBOA22. Okay. Now we have a QuickBooks Connect is coming up. So this is our big international event. This is in Las Vegas this December. It's an amazing 3-day program full of educational sessions and inspiring keynotes. We've got people like Serena Williams, who's playing her final Grand Slam today. We've got author Malcolm Gladwell. There'll be a ton of other people announced who are speaking. We're actually offering the chance to win a trip to Las Vegas for 5-star accommodation, flights, 2 passes to QuickBooks Connect, the whole deal. All you need to do is make a lodgement in QuickBooks Tax, powered by LodgeiT, and tell us in 50 words or less what you actually loved about using QuickBooks Tax. So you can find out more and enter at intuit.me/connect-in-LV. That's intuit.me/connect-in-LV. Watch your inbox for more details. If you are not using QuickBooks Tax, you can get access to it through the QuickBooks Pro Advisor program, which is free to join. It's free to access QuickBooks Tax. Jump onto our website, go to the advisor section in the navigation and choose the Pro Advisor program there. You'll find out all the details about signing up and getting free access to QuickBooks Tax powered by LodgeiT. A very, very quick plug for a new offer that we have with our partners at Commonwealth Bank as well. If you have a tradie as a client who is a Commonwealth Bank customer, they can sign up to QuickBooks Online as a new user and receive 50% off their subscription for 6 months. You can find out more information on this at intuit.me/comtradies. And that's, yeah, a really great offer. Okay, let's get into the Q&A very quickly. We are bang on time, but we'll jump in with a couple of questions, and I'll invite Emma, David, and Chris from our customer success team on. and we'll jump into a couple of key questions. Emma, I might start with you. This was one from Marnie. I'm just asking again, where do you actually find that accountant toolbox? How do you access that?
Yeah, so the accountant's toolbox, you should see it's almost just to the left of the center of your screen. It's at the top of the screen. Now it's next to a heading which says go to QuickBooks. I think the heading is go to QuickBooks. But what I did talk about and just quickly was that you need to have a QBOA user login, and your clients need to be inviting you as an accountant. So what I mentioned was that I recently met a new advisor who had 3 separate user logins. Make sure you have a QBOA login and make sure your clients invite you as an accountant. But I would suggest to the person who's asked this question, if they can't see it, sort of just like I said, top of the screen, just to the left, accountant toolbox. If they can't see it, maybe ring support and sort of get somebody to talk to you, because it might not be that you're using the correct login.
Beautiful. Thanks, Emma. David, one for you. I think you mentioned Payroll is available free for firms to manage their own books. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Payroll is free as part of the Pro Advisor program, which is also free to join. All details can be found on the Pro Advisor page of our website, and it's free for you to manage your employees of your firm. So the way for you to take advantage of that is simply log into your QuickBooks Online Accountant account. You'll see on the left-hand navigation the Pro Advisor benefits. Click on that, and then you'll see Payroll listed for you to take advantage for your firm amongst other benefits. So click on that Payroll. You'll see a button there to redeem it. Click that, and that'll notify our partnership managers to give you a call and start setting that up. So very simple, and again, great platform to use.
Great, thanks, David. Emma, weekly reporting, how do you actually access that?
Yeah, so weekly reporting, you don't access that directly. So what you need to do is you need to customize a report. So let's say you want a weekly profit and loss. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go into the regular profit and loss, and you're going to then select from the drop down, because it is one of the drop down. You can select this week or last week. What you then do is save it as a customization. And so I use little acronyms. So I would call it P&L space or profit and loss space TW, and then if I was comparative, I'll do space LW. So this week, last week. But you do need to save that as a customization. You'll then see it under reports in custom reports. And what I'd recommend is, if you're not sure on that side of things, then as soon as we offer the next round of QuickBooks Advanced training, do that, because you'll definitely learn more about customizing reports and what you can actually do with QuickBooks.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emma. Chris, it seems we just have a never-ending stream of questions about STP. Seems like it's still causing people issues out there. What's the best way to lodge STP with BAS for a closely held employee?
Yeah, probably the simple answer is whatever way works best for you and your client. But in QuickBooks Online Payroll, you can do the quarterly lodgement cycle, but you can also do it through the regular sort of pay cycle, weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Now, I will say, as someone who's sort of sat with the support team over this payroll season, my recommendation would be to do it after the pay run. We saw a lot of customers who opted with the quarterly option. Quite often they forgot, and they got to year end, and it caused all sorts of complications. So a bit of sort of hindsight being, I would recommend at the end of every pay run, but ultimately whatever does work for you or your client, you have both options available to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. We are a little bit over time. There were a couple of questions that we haven't had a chance to get to, so I do apologise if we didn't get to yours, but we'll wrap it up there and let you all get on with your days. Just like to thank Emma, Chris, David for joining us today, and everyone else for coming along. We hope you've enjoyed the session and got a lot out of it. Again, we will have a copy of the recording out to you by email with more information on everything we've spoken to you about today. So thanks very much, and we'll see you for the next event that we throw. Thank you.